This is the one hotel room that changes every single night, and honestly, it's kind of creepy. Hey, welcome to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about the one hotel room that changes every night. And before we get started, if you like stories like this, be sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Also, if you want to watch more of my content, I have an account where I share a ton of my work in progress and early videos, so go check that out as well. But without further ado, let's get into the story. So, I had just arrived at the Grand Hotel, which was an old building with high ceilings and golden chandeliers. It used to be a famous person's hotel back in the day. Now, it wasn't cheap, but for some reason I decided to splurge and get the best room available. Room 69. The receptionist lady gave me a funny look when I asked for that particular room. But she didn't say anything. She just handed me the key card and wished me a pleasant stay. As I walked down the hallway towards my room, I couldn't help but feel like someone was watching me. All the other guests seemed to be whispering and staring. I tried to ignore it and just go to my room. But then suddenly the lights turned off and I was plunged into darkness. I froze in fear as I heard footsteps near me. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but I could hear the footsteps getting closer and closer. Then a voice whispered right next to me. "Do you want to play a game?" I screamed and tried to run away, but the hallway seemed to be endless. I ran and ran, but there was no escape. Then suddenly the lights turned back on and I found myself standing in front of my room. Room 69. I quickly opened the door and stepped inside. Slamming the door behind me, I leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. As I looked around the room, I noticed something strange. Everything was wide. The walls, the bed, the curtains, even the furniture. It looked like a hospital room or something. I shrugged it off and decided to explore further. I walked over to the bed and sat down. It was really comfortable, but where were the windows? I got up and walked over to the curtains and pulled them open. There were no windows outside. In fact, there was only one way in and out of the room. I checked the bathroom, but there was no window in there either. I went back to the bed and sat down again, feeling uneasy. Why was I the only person in the hotel who hadn't seen the creepy things yet? Was this part of the experience? Just then, the TV turned on by itself and a statusy voice said, "Welcome to your room. Please enjoy your stay." Then the TV turned off again. I was starting to freak out a bit, but I knew I had to do something to distract myself. So I grabbed the remote control and changed the channel. But every time I did, the same statusy voice would say something weird. "Don't trust anyone," it said. "They're not real." Then the TV would turn off again. I threw the remote control down in frustration and decided to call the front desk. But when I picked up the phone, the same voice was on the other end. "Hello," it said. "Having fun yet?" I hung up the phone and tried calling again, but the line was dead. I was starting to think that I was going crazy, but then I remembered that I had a key card. Maybe I could use that to open another room and find someone to talk to. I got out of bed and walked over to the door, but as soon as I touched it, the lights went out again. I froze in fear, but then the lights came back on, and I saw a message written on the wall in what appeared to be blood. "You can't leave a read." I screamed and backed away from the door, but as soon as I did, the message disappeared. I ran to the bathroom and locked myself inside. I splashed water on my face and tried to calm down, but then I looked up and saw that the walls were now covered in the same blood-colored liquid. I screamed and fell to the ground. I curled up in a ball and tried to make myself small, hoping that whatever was out there would go away. But then I heard a knock on the door. "Who's there?" I asked, my voice trembling. "It's me," the voice replied. "Let me in." I knew it was the voice from the TV and the phone, but why was it outside the bathroom now? I shook my head and tried to make myself smaller. "No, go away," I whispered. Then I heard a crash and the sound of heavy footsteps. The bathroom door swung open and I screamed. But when I looked up, I saw that it was just the TV again. It fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. The room was silent for a moment, and then I heard the voice again. This time it sounded sad. "Why are you hiding from me?" it asked. I won't hurt you. I slowly got up and walked towards the voice. As I got closer, I could see that it was coming from the corner of the room. I walked over and saw a small figure sitting in the shadows. It looked like a person, but it wasn't real. It was made out of the same black goo that had covered the walls. What are you? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I'm you, it replied. Or at least I used to be. The figure got up and walked towards me. I used to live in this room, but then I started to fade away. Every night I change form and I have to find a new host to inhabit. If I don't, I disappear completely. I took a step back. So you're stuck here forever? I asked. Yeah, the figure said sadly. And every night I have to watch the new guests come in and check out. I get a little attached to them, but then they leave and I'm alone again. I felt bad for the creature. It sounded lonely and trapped, just like me. Can I help you? I asked. Maybe, the creature said. If you stay here tonight, I won't have to be alone. But you have to promise not to leave, no matter what happens. I thought about it for a moment. I already had plans for the next day, but I felt like the creature needed my help. Okay, I said. I'll stay. And so I stayed in the room all night. And every night after that, I kept my promise and stayed in the room with the creature. We talked for hours, and I learned that it wasn't just me who was stuck in the room. There were other people who had stayed there before me, and each of us had brought our own baggage with us. As the days went by, I started to feel more and more connected to the creature. It told me its name was Alex, and it said that it used to be a happy person before it became trapped in the room. I felt like I could relate to that because I, too, had lost my happiness. I was once a cheerful and optimistic person, but then something had happened that had taken that away from me. As I listened to Alex's stories, I started to feel a sense of hope. Maybe we could help each other. I thought maybe I could bring back my happiness and Alex could find peace. And so I made a decision. I decided to stay in the room forever. I didn't know how or if it would work, but I was willing to try anything to get my happiness back. And that's what I still do to this day. Every night I tell Alex stories about the outside world and it tells me about its past life. Sometimes I think about leaving, but then I remember what it's like to be happy. And I know that I'm exactly where I need to be. All right, guys. That is the end of this story. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.